Coach, wild Saturday night game, 62-51. You've obviously looked at a lot of videos since. Any new thoughts?
Well, it was a very interesting game. It felt like a heavyweight championship fight, with so many major blows going back and forth, and just dynamic, skilled offensive players making play after play on both sides of the ball. I'm sure for a non-USC fan, just watching the game as a football fan was probably pretty exciting. And there was talk about it going into the game. You're talking about some of the best players in all of college football on the same field together. So unfortunately, it didn't go our way. They landed more punches than we did, and it came down to that. We have 3 turnovers and obviously score no points on those drives, and you can't do that versus that team.
When you look at the issues on defense, are they more physical, like tackling and making plays, or are there scheme issues that you want to address?
Well, I think anytime, as coaches, you have to look at yourself. To put up numbers like that, the last thing you can do is blame the players. So, we got to look at ourselves, make sure we're doing the right things going forward, and when we play them again, make sure that we understand what we would do.
Yeah, you've alluded to potential sweeping changes in terms of philosophy, particularly against the spread. Is that something that can be implemented in a week, or do you need an off-season to really make a big change like that? Well,
if you're going to make huge changes, that's off-season. But that doesn't mean, that you don't make different calls in different areas and different schemes. We would always do that, much like, we played poorly before this year on offense. Like the Stanford game. We're not going to just keep trying to do the same things. We're always going to try to put our players in the best position to win.
Are there position battles defensively that you'd like to open up and maybe take a look at this week?
Like I said, we're not putting this on the players. We're putting this on ourselves, and we'll just continue to get our guys better this week in practice.
This defense was riding pretty high for the first half of the season, and back-to-back tough games. Are you worried about their confidence at all going into another big game this week?
You're right. We had played really well, and then the last 2 Saturdays we have not. Really just completely different 2 games compared to the ones before that. So we had the same thing happen to us last year in the Arizona State games back-to-back weeks and finished playing really well. So we'll get back on track this week.
Your offense put up 51 points. I mean, is it the perfectionist in you that talks about the 2 or 3 missed opportunities, or can you really expect the offense to have to go out there and score 60, 70 to win a game?
Well, whatever you have to do, you have to do. And so, we'll always look at ourselves and not point the finger and see what could we have done different, on our side of the ball. And, points to those 3 series, regardless of whether, a lot of people are going to say that there's pass interference and the interception. How do you fault the guys? Well, we just got to figure out a way to do things better. Obviously,
you'd relish the opportunity to get another shot at these guys. Would you relish the opportunity to get another shot to prepare for them? I mean, are there things that you would be really excited to get to do if you get another shot at them potentially in 3 or 4 weeks?
Sure. I know that, obviously we'd love to go back out and play them again, and try to fix the areas where we didn't play very well.
The focus now, does it shift to the Pac-12 South and trying to put yourself in position for that opportunity?
The focus switches to Arizona State and a team that has played really good defense this year, and they've done a great job of discipline. I think the least penalties in the conference, and so they've been playing really well at times. So we've got to get ready to prepare for them.
What are your emotional keys this week? Your message to the team in trying to get them lifted back up?
Well, we can't fix what happened before. We can't go back and change it, I should say. We can just go forward and, we can just improve individually ourselves and let the rest of it take care of itself.
Another week, another mobile quarterback. What do you see from Taylor Kelly?
Yeah, same type of deal. A guy who can beat you with both, and they're doing a great job in their scheme there. And the 2 backs are having some really big numbers. So, in general on offense, they've put up a lot of yardage this year. So we're going to have our hands full again.
How does their offense, in terms of scheme, compare to the types you've seen the last 2 weeks? Are they more like Arizona or Oregon?
Yeah, it'd be closer to Arizona. Even though he runs, it's not the same. It's not the same runner as the quarterback we just faced. Oregon's, I think, is always a unique offense. I don't think other people really know how to run Oregon's offense.
They got a terrible break when they played Oregon, and that Will Sutton, their best defensive player, got hurt after making the play in the first play of the game. He should be there to face you, though. So what do you see from him as a disruptive defensive tackle? Yeah,
he's been a dominant player. He's already shown up in that game right off the bat. He forces a turnover on a great play by him, and then gets injured. So you've seen very different numbers defensively when he's been out. You look at how that game went. You look at the next week versus UCLA. He's not in there, and they put up the big numbers. So he's been a big difference for that defense. Prior to his injury, they were playing as well as anybody in the conference.
Obviously, when Collin was down early in the season, that was a kind of player that really hurt you against Stanford. You feel a lot better about your offensive line and how Max Turk came to the Oregon game. It seemed like Oregon got some pressure, but not really enough to disrupt you.
Yeah, I think anytime you lose, there's lost storylines. That's part of football or part of sports. And then when you win, those become the storylines. And I think Max Turk's an example of that. We win that game. I think that's a big storyline. True freshman starting and throwing the ball as much as we did, and him having to protect versus two really good rushers that Oregon has. That was a big test for him, and he played great. And so obviously that was great to see. We need to be more consistent inside with the two guards. They weren't very pleased by the way that they played, and so we'll get better this week.
Were there any other lost storylines you think that? Obviously you have to talk about the negatives and the loss. Were there any other real positives that were important to talk about? Yeah,
I think you have for 2 Saturdays in a row, you have lost storylines because we screw up and lose. We win those 2 games. These storylines are Matt and Marquise are going to New York. Marquise Lee is putting up numbers that's maybe never been done in college football history in back-to-back weeks. It's mind-blowing what he's doing. And then Matt, I think in back-to-back weeks, those are the those 2 games are the most yardage ever thrown for in 2 games. In the history of USC, so it's pretty amazing. But unfortunately, they're going to get lost when you lose.
Yeah, and then lastly, can you talk about your counterpart this week, Todd Graham, his first year in the Pac-12? It seems like one of the big things he's done, Arizona State had penalty and turnover issues in the past. Now they're the fewest penalties in the league. Is it discipline? Is that what you noticed, the biggest change on film? Yeah,
they've done a great job, of obviously an area that, I'm sure they weren't very happy with before. And to come in and fix it that fast, you got to look right at the head coach. That's a great job by him and his staff.
All right, noon kickoff on Saturday, homecoming, Coach. We'll see you there. Good luck.
All right, thank you.